right? I'm expecting to have the full count today. It's not. If it is not, that is not the expectation from this, right? Today I'm going to discuss about your this subsidiary disposals, right? Basically, disposals, uh, foreign subsidiary conversion. Those are the two things I'm going to discuss with you very quickly. Okay. Uh, right. Once I discussing this consolidation, disposal is one of the key elements we are discussing. Okay. Disposal. Uh, why we completed acquisitions for a long time, right? Acquisition we discussed about maybe different scenarios. Acquisition. At the point of acquisition, we should calculate goodwill. Okay. So we discussed about acquisition by taking long time, right? We know once we are doing the acquisition, the controlling power will be taken to the parent entity. From that onward, we need to calculate the goodwill and post-acquisition return earnings, pre-acquisition return earnings. All these things being completed, right? We are comfortable with the acquisition. Now we are discussing about not only that, we discussed about step acquisition, right? Acquisition plus step acquisition. We completed. Today I'm going to touch. Today we are going to discuss about disposal. Disposal means we are going to release our investment. This will come up with different scenarios, right? Different scenarios. Maybe 100% disposal. 100% disposal, right? The investment retention. Investment retention. There may be associated retention. Associated retention. Then transaction with NCI. Being disposal. Those are the 5 scenarios of disposals, right? Team disposal. What do you think about these things? 100% disposal, investment retention, associate retention, transaction in the NCI, team disposal. I hope this is very clear to you. Right? What's happening here? We are having a relationship. Relationship can not subsidiary parent relationship. Have acquired 100% subsidiary with acquisition plan. 100% subsidiary. That B company is a subsidiary, A company is the parent. Parent subsidiary. Right? Make it මොකද වෙන්නේ? Make it මොකද වෙන්නේ? What's happening there? The scenario A sold out 100% ownership of B. 100% ownership we couldn't. Right? But then the second scenario. A sold out 80% of B. 80% ගියාම කීයක් විතරද? They are retaining 20%. That is called associate retention, right? Sorry. Take associate retention. Then complicated again never. Then the investment retention. ඊට වඩා sell කරන්න. How much? Like maybe A sold out 90% of B. 90% sell කරාම 10% into it. It's a financial instrument. It's a financial instrument, right? But in this scenario, अब मैं quality कर लगती है. Transaction with NCI, acquisition side BD. Now we are discussing what? Disposal side. Disposal side again මොකක්ද වෙන්නේ? Acquisition side disposal side එක මොකද වෙන්නේ? What do you mean by acquisition side BD? Transaction tendency තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ නේ. තේරෙන්න විදියක් නැහැ. Yesterday ආවේ නැහැ කියන්නේ. සෑහෙන ගොඩක් දේවල් කරා. ඒ කියන්නේ step acquisition. මොනවාද? consolidation එකේ අර මුලින් තියෙන ලොකු paragraph දෙක. එතන බය වෙලා දැකලා full surprise වෙනවා. ඒ දෙකම කරේ ගියසර. Yesterday, right? පාවෙත් නැහැ නේ. Online video. Yeah. Online video. Right. That's good. If you understood what we discussed, you'll be happy. Right. We discussed about transaction with NCI. What we discussed, we had the control, maybe 60%, maybe 80%. We are getting some other part. We are purchasing some rights from NCI. And there's no change of the control concept, but controlling power getting increased. So that is goal. That is not again an acquisition. We don't consider that as acquisition. It is like a transaction between NCI. This is another scenario. This is another scenario transaction with NCI. Here also the logic is same. Control is there, but we are losing some part of rights. It means, let's say, we are selling is sold out 10% of B. A sold out 10% of B. When do I put it in? Once we are having 100% subsidiary, now we are having 90%. Right? It is just a transaction with NCI. Okay. Here, A has not sold any rights. But ownership decreased to less than 50%. That's called deep disposal. These are the 5 scenarios. Yesterday we discussed losing the control. Losing the control without selling share prices. Shares. Without selling shares, you can lose your controlling power. We discussed yesterday, right? So you are having 1,000 shares, right? 1,000 shares, that is 100%. Because we had 1,000 shares. If we were 1,000 shares, we can card 8. Right? If we issue another 5,000 shares, 5,000 shares issue gonna be 5,000 shares issue gonna sale purchase another party. Now how many shares are there? 6,000, right? Out of 3,000, we have 1,000 shares. So here, less than 50% ownership. Without changing, without selling your rights, shares, you lose your control. Right? They not give this. No. What company can shares 1,000 you have purchased 1,000 shares, we can A company. 100% ownership. Right? Here, all these scenarios, you sold out shares. Here, 100% you sold out. Here, 80% you sold out. 20 remaining. Here, 90% you sold out. 10 remaining. Here, 10% sold out. 90 remaining. But here, we are not going to sell any shares. But we are losing the percentage. We are losing the percentage. Right? Without selling the shares, if you are losing the percentage, that's called deep disposal. Can it happen? Over the winning. Over the winning. But you are having 1,000 shares, you had the 100% ownership. Again, you are issuing another 5,000 shares. If 5,000 shares not to the former shareholder, but to the other outside. This outsider having now 5,000 shares. Now share composition is 6,000. 6,000. For you, 1,000. For outside, 5,000. Then your portion, your percentage, reduce 100 to maybe 1/6. Because of that, we don't have the control. We don't have the control. That is called deep disposal. Right? Right. Now we know at the point of acquisition how we are going to treat the question. Okay. We are preparing cost of control account, calculating goodwill, and all these things we know. At the point of disposal, how we are going to treat it? How we are going to calculate it? At the point of acquisition, we calculate the goodwill, right? At the point of disposal, what we are going to calculate? At the point of disposal, let's say you are dealing with this, we are going to calculate. Typically, I like 100% disposal. At the point of disposal, what we are going to calculate? Disposal gain or loss. At the point of acquisition, we calculate negative goodwill or positive goodwill, right? So once you are doing our disposal, supposed to calculate the disposal gain or loss. We note it at Galle. Once we are disposing a subsidiary, once we are disposing a subsidiary, the parent entity should calculate. Parent entity should calculate disposal gain or loss. Disposal gain or loss. At the point of finalizing the disposal transaction. At the point of finalizing the disposal transaction. At the point of finalizing the disposal transaction. The critical factor to consider is status of the controlling power. Status of the controlling power. If we are losing the controlling power, within bracket, %, disposal, comma, associated with retention, associated with retention, investment retention, investment retention. The consolidation process, the consolidation process, the consolidation process should be stopped. Consolidation process should be stopped. If we are not losing the control, if we are not losing the control, if we are not losing the control, in bracket, transaction with NCI. Transaction with NCI. We supposed to continue. We supposed to continue the consolidation process. We supposed to continue the consolidation process. Consolidation process. It is just a matter of. It is just a matter of calculating the gain or loss. Calculate the gain or loss from the transaction with NCI. From the transaction with NCI. Once we are calculating the gain or loss at the disposal, once we are calculating the gain or loss at the disposal, the net asset at the disposal date, the net asset at the disposal date, the net assets at the disposal date of the subsidiary should be compared with the consideration. Be compared with the consideration. A company disposed its subsidiary. A company disposed subsidiary of B company for cash consideration of to be 800 million. Be 800 million. This is 100% disposal. This is 100% disposal. Disposal happened as of 31st December 2025. Happened as of 31st December 2025. At the point of disposal, net assets of B is LKR 650 million. And NCI fair value was 20 million. NCI fair value was 20 million. Further, there was a 20 million remaining goodwill in the books of consolidation. Further, there was remaining 20 million goodwill in the books of consolidation. The books of consolidation. You are required to calculate. Disposal gain. Calculate the disposal gain. Right. How we are going to calculate this? Can calculate it. Consideration 800 million, right? Normally you have done disposal transaction, not subsidy disposal. What else you have disposed? Disposal not only color there. Disposal color there is PP disposal. So whatever the net value, once you have disposing PP and E, cost minus accumulated depreciation, net assets value should be cross-checked with the consideration, right? Same approach. Consideration is there. Here, we are selling 100%, right? Not 100%. We are having HCI part as well, right? HCI part include given it. So, 100% disposal can give a contribution 100% give a full part. Full part means 100% give a and the 100% ownership we don't have NCI. I mean that 100% disposal means whatever the portion we had, maybe 70% you had, right? 70% you had, you are selling full 70%. It means out of 70%, 100% we sold it out. If you are selling 50%, you are remaining 20%. I wanted to mean that fully sold, right? 100% के तो ध्यान देखें गावल दागा fully sold here, sold out fully 100% के लिए arrow का दागा लिया गया sold out fully. That's why we are having NCI, right? That's now confusion. Oh, the money method NCI got that it's not good. Once you are having NCI, you need to consider that as well, right? NCI 20. This is the total value we are giving to the company now. Right? Then how much is the goodwill? 20. NCI also 20. Disposal gain. Can we account this, please? Now I'll make a disposal gain calculator. You are putting debit credits, T accounts, right? Then you can understand what's happening over there. At the point of acquisition, we prepare for COC account, cost of control account. At the point of disposal, we are preparing which account? Disposal account of B. Disposal account of B. Disposal account of B. Cash. What's the double entry? Once we are selling cash, debit, credit to this account, right? Cash. What the cost of control account के staff cash पैसे running पैसे लगेंगे थे. Hey, देखा हम उसे एक कभी दिए ना बहुत डर गया. Cost of control account at the point of acquisition we pay cash. Here we receive cash, right? Other side. NCI at the point of creating subsidiary, we created NCI. Now we are going to remove that from our books. After removing the subsidiary fully, we don't need to keep NCI. NCI in which side? NCI accounting make go ahead there. Make this go ahead there. NCI accounting अंतिम balance में मिलती है. NCI credit. अरे ये कथा करपु extreme scenario के रहता. ये मौका scenario का कथा करपु कर. NCI can be debit, right? You may have credit balance once you are putting losses, subsidiary losses to this account, that will be debit. That's an extreme scenario. So normally we are getting that as a credit balance. Credit balance debit here, credit here, NCI. Cost of control account again, debit method up. Item देखो make it credit method up. एक और निकाल. There's a relationship of cost of control account and this. Remaining goodwill. If you are having a remaining goodwill like this, 20. What do you mean by remaining goodwill? Hey, remaining के लिए क्या? ये वचन से रुकूंगा. Remaining goodwill. We calculated the goodwill and we are doing impairment. The calculated goodwill at the acquisition date minus impairment we call as remaining goodwill. Right? Remaining goodwill. Goodwill එක තියෙන්නේ මොන පැත්තද? Debit. මේක credit කරලා. Disposal account එක debit කරනවා. Goodwill. Right? Goodwill. Net assets. Net assets mean stated capital and retained earnings. Stated capital and retained earnings credit තියෙන සාමාන්‍ය. ඒක debit කරලා මේ කරා. Stated capital and retained earnings net assets කියලා. Net assets කියලා ගත්තොත් asset side එක. Right? Asset side එක තමයි consider කරනවා. මේ පැත්තට තමයි ගන්නේ. Net assets how much? 650. Right? Now you have to balance it. $150 consolidated earnings. Consolidated earnings there. මේක මොකද්ද? Parent ගේ retained earnings. Parents retained earnings. Right? Parents retained earnings. Parents retained earnings. ඊට පස්සේ note stack එකක් දාන්න. අපි මේකෙම අපි learn කරනවා මේකේ associate retention, investment retention තියාගන්න. note එකක් දාන්න. If a company retaining, if a company retaining 5% of B company at the point of disposal, at the point of disposal, at the point of disposal, the point of disposal, the fair value of 5%, the fair value of 5%. Is LKR 100 billion. LKR 100 billion. Your consideration decreased to 720,000. 720,000. 720,000. Adana balan tangana cost of control account. Sorry, disposal account. දැන් මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? වට තේරුණාද consideration එක අඩු වෙන්නේ කියලා? අනිත් consideration එක කීයද? 800,000. Right? Here what happened? We are not keeping anything. The first scenario, we have disposed all the rights. Right? It's like a fully disposal. But here we are keeping 5%. Right? That 5% how much? 100 million, right? 100 million. Calculate this disposal gain now. I'm going to calculate. Hurry up, hurry up. Calculate the disposal gain. What's the difference? Now we are keeping 5%. We are keeping 5%. But we have not paid for that. We need to remove that credit here, debit here. Separate investment account. Right? Right? Then this is a financial instrument, right? Financial instrument. How we are going to treat this? Fair value through P&L or OCI. Right? Financial instrument. Another scenario. Another scenario ke liye aap If a company retain it, a company retain it, 20% of B, 20% of B. The stake of 20% was valued for 350 million fair value. 350 million fair value. A received 500 million as the consideration. A received 500 million as the consideration. දැන් මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? 800 720 උනා. 720 500. මොනවද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? consideration එක එන්නේ නඩුවේ නැහැ. වාග්ගාව portion එකක් retain කරගන්න නිසා. නේද? ඔයා මොන හරි inventory එකක් හරි PPN එකක් හරි. If you are retaining something, you are receiving less. Right? Calculate the gain again. Please, hurry up.
Oh, ya ini. Ahí cocina la tía del California. Yang bilang tadi. Ah, yang kian ni kan juga. Dia itu bintang berkopi. Oh,
Ya, claro. De aquí conseguimos.
Right? What you did differently over there. Right? That's what it associates, right? And make a move to the counter. PT method. PT method as per base 28. Right? You are going to debit, credit here, debit here, associate. Then associate account should be continued. What are the entries? Further you may come. We discuss associate account, right? A account එක තමයි මේ හදන්නේ. වා කලින් associate account එක කියලා. Yesterday මුලින්ම කතා කරපු account එක. This account, right? This is the account we are starting. Here we had cash. Now we have transferring from the disposal account, right? The fair value. Then continue whatever the remaining part. Are you okay? Yesterday we discussed one associate account. Right? Associate account, that is the account we are dealing with, equity account, right? So at that point we had cash. We paid cash and get the investment of 20%. Now only difference is here we are getting from disposal account. Right? The main account is continuing. So this is the investment in associate account. We are using equity method to this account, right? Once we are receiving dividend, cash, debit, credit to this account, right? Once we are accruing the dividends, pay and credit, debit to this account. Those were discussed yesterday, right? If you remember that. Another scenario, another scenario to the other. If a company retaining the control, and dispose only 10%, for the consideration of 100 million. For the consideration of 100 million. Right? They are selling only 10%. Right? Calculate the net asset. Net asset here. Net assets of the entity 650, right? 650 into 10%. How much? 65. 65. It's a very percent. Okay. Broker country balance. Internal paper डालें. So then CI क्या है? Credit account के साथ. 65 what is double entry? 65 what is double entry? और इधर क्या है? 65 double entry लिखता है. NCI debit. Credit. then මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? ඔයාගේ NCI වැඩි වෙනවද අඩු වෙනවද මේක? NCI getting increased. Yesterday we discussed transaction with NCI. NCI getting decreased, right? We purchase more. Here we are selling it back. So this one, NCI credit 65, sorry, 65. Transaction with NCI, right? Credit here, debit here. Once you are selling, how much you receive? 100,000, 100 million, right? 100 million once you are receiving cash, cash debit, then into here. Cash. Right. This 35 is a separate equity component in the balance sheet. Right? Okay. I hope we discuss all these disposals. We can do the calculation. I hope you can try that. I have given question set IO6. You can do that. Not now. Take the question set 6. LMS. Question set number 6. I think you are having. Right. Then have a topic. Consolidation of foreign subsidiary. Consolidation of foreign subsidiary. Once you are dealing with the foreign subsidiary acquisition or disposal, the same thought process. We need to add this conversion part, right? We need to learn how we are going to convert this, right? How we are going to deal with the foreign exchange rates, right? You know that once you're dealing with a different country, their functional currency may be different. They are doing the financial statement in a different currency. So how we are going to merge that to LKR? But we are in the control, right? See, now you are having this consolidation knowledge with that and this conversion understanding. That right? So what happening? Previously we discussed about A company acquired B company, maybe 80%, maybe 75%, maybe 100%, right? We discussed about acquisition. Acquisition, right? At that time we calculated goodwill. Goodwill by using pre-acquisition adjustment. After that, we put intercompany adjustment. Right? And then line by line consolidation. So this is the process we follow. Once you are having consolidation, understood the acquisition date, calculate the goodwill, identify the NCI. Identify the NCI and then put all these subsequent entries. After putting subsequent entries, what's the next step? We need to add line by line. Right? When we make the medical marks, we need to give it. Make that. Without doing adjustments, without calculating goodwill, but they are doing line by line consolidation. For that, you don't need to come to the exam. This activity we should perform in a foreign subsidiary with exchange rate. But we know we have already discussed about LKS 21. We know that understanding as well. What's the closing rate? What's the average rate? All these things you are familiar now, right? So we need to merge this knowledge aspects, right? We need to merge this knowledge as well. Let's imagine this B company in a other country, maybe India. Right? INR. Yeah. For that, what we supposed to do then? We are having this balance sheet or numbers in Indian rupees. Indian rupees. What we do? What we are going to do? Here we have a conversion aspect. Right? Here we have a conversion aspect. So we need to calculate the goodwill. The goodwill at that acquisition date. There's no difference over there. At that time, goodwill should be calculated and convert that goodwill as of the day you have purchased. You should have the conversion rate for that. Right? Calculate that goodwill. That is the goodwill you should show in your books. Remember that. But no guarantee. But I am telling here, calculate the goodwill. It is happening maybe different scenarios. Mid of the year, first date of the year, before the year it will happen. Whatever the date you are acquiring, to that date you should calculate the goodwill and convert it to the local currency based on the rate on that day. Right? Ecological. Ecological. Hey, year end එකට calculate කරොත් foreign exchange impact එකත් goodwill කියලා පෙන්නනවා. Good sir. Are you okay? No need to include foreign exchange impact to the goodwill. Because of that, we are not supposed to include this foreign exchange impact to the goodwill. Then what we need to do? Calculate goodwill, convert to at that date rate, and translate it to the year-end rate. That gap should be transferred to the OCI. In other equity reserve, right? Understood? No. Calculated goodwill as of this day, $100. $100. How did you calculate this? How did you calculate this? By using the control account. Cash consideration. Cash in dollars, 500, right? Stated capital, 300. NCI, 100. Right? Retained earnings. $200, right? Goodwill, credit here, debit here. This is in dollars. Exchange rate as of this day. $300, right? So the goodwill is $300 into 100. Right. $300 into 100. This is the adjustment to the adjustment to goodwill, right? Then what we need to do? Then whatever the related adjustment, do it in foreign currency, right? Do it in foreign currency. Put a note. Whatever the remaining adjustment, do it foreign currency to the foreign subsidiary. Foreign currency to the foreign subsidiary. Based on the transaction rate. Based on the transaction rate. Based on the transaction rate. Whatever the remaining adjustments should do based on the foreign currency rate and foreign currency transaction rate. Transaction rate. The final asset and liabilities. Final asset and liabilities should convert based on closing rate. Based on closing rate. But the equity should be converted should be converted based on historical rate. Based on historical rate. Based on historical rate. Once you are preparing consolidated P&L, once you prepare consolidated P&L, consolidated P&L, the income and expenses should be converted by using the average rate. By using the average rate. By using the average rate. All the differences arising from above conversion. All the differences arise. All the differences arising from above conversion should be transferred to OCI. Should be transferred to OCI. Should be transferred to OCI. ඔක තමයි foreign subsidy එකක් convert කරන විදිහ, right? ඒක දැන් මම question එකක් කරන්න යන්නේ. I am giving a question, right? You should practice that. ඒක ලියා ගන්න. So agree to give a question with answers. Right? කියපු දේ rocket science එකක් නෙවෙයි. Simple දෙයක් කියලා තියෙන්නේ. You are having a subsidiary, right? Foreign subsidiary. Once you have a foreign subsidiary, first calculate the goodwill as at the acquisition date. Identify the goodwill. And then goodwill also asset, no? So we need to understand the asset first, foreign currency value, and then we need to understand conversion difference. And convert it to the year-end rate. And then recognize the OCI impact. Then you know the goodwill and the amount. And then you have the adjustment. Put that adjustment based on the foreign currency. Based on the foreign currency. Get the final value. Once you're converting, use the year-end rate. That's it. And then once you're getting the final LKR value, line by line consolidation, right? ඒක මම කියලා නැහැ. වට එතකොට වැඩ ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. මම convert කරලා value එක to do line by line consolidation, right? With parent and into other.
But if you like the differences, right, in the top, the question would be transfer. But difference will be different. In rate of the transfer and the yen.
Yeah. This foreign operation having the balance sheet tally asset and liabilities, no? Right? Asset and liability get tally. Once you're converting asset and liability based on the year-end rate, right? Once you're converting that based on equity item, the historical rate, there's a difference. Anyway, that difference charges the P&L. And another thing is you are preparing the P&L based on the average rate. Reason is P&L preparing for the period. We can't get the year end now. For the period we are getting preparing the P&L. Because of that we are getting the average. Right? I think we completed most of the cases, right? Slowly, with notes, right? With adjustments, questions, completed this consolidation. I will share many questions with you all with answers and hope you are starting doing questions, right? Practice. Then confidence level will go up. Some of the challenges may come. You can ask from me, right? So you may ask, sir, how we are dealing with foreign associate? I didn't do that, right? So I just do equity account with local associate. So you need to think about that. And how we are dealing with the foreign associate. Same logic, right? Same logic. We need to adjust that. Likewise, you may have some very not critical things. May want to learn some small things, right? So you can learn that. You can ask from me. I have already covered maybe 95%, right? 5% always maybe there. That's for you to study and research and you can get that understanding. So the consolidation done. Then when the console තේරිලා නැහැ. practice කරන්න තමයි. Console අපි ගොඩක් time ගත්තද? It took ample time. ගොඩක් දවස් console කරානේ. අනන දැන් ළමයි randomly අරගෙන සර් බලලා යන්න වගේ. ඉත හදාගන්න ළමයි එනේන දවසට console කරනවා. මාර වදයක් වෙලා තිබුණේ. නේද? Marcia coming to the class, හැමදාම console කරනවා. So that's what we put our effort to complete that, right? So I hope that I was able to make that more understandable. What's the issue? Ask anything, ask from me, right? No issue. You can clarify. You can ask. Then it will be helpful. The mama may say, "Get can be say, that no, the local complex mono has their cow. Sama that is one distracted." But see, logic change it. Because mama had a lot of answer. It was not made of it. What they study. The Hadagan, it was it. Practice එකත් එක බලනවා. හැම වෙලේම يعني දැන් මම හිතුවොත් මේ ට්‍රාන්සැක්ෂන් එක කවදාවත් කරලා නැහැ. මෙහෙමයි කරන්න කියලා හිතලා එහෙම කරන කම්පැනි එකක් බලනවා. ඒක මම තමයි කරලා දෙන්නේ. අර thought process එක same වෙන්නේ නේද? හැබැයි සමහරවිට ඉවෙන්ට් එකක් ආවොත් මම බලන්න ඕනේ මොකක්ද? මේකට මොකක්ද මේ කරලා දෙන්නේ? The way I thought is different. But there may be a standard separate requirement. We need to study that. That's how we need to learn. Is right. It's like an ocean. Different adjustment, different companies. You know that people are getting changed, companies getting changed, transaction getting complex. Once you are having complex transaction, there may be intercompany transaction, complex intercompany transaction. That will impact the consolidation. Because of that, there's a complexity. Please learn it. Right. Okay, cool. Coming to the topic of financial instrument. Financial instrument අපිට ඉස්සරහට ටිකක් නේද? That's something there. So we discuss about financial instruments, right? Financial instruments. We discussed financial instrument long time back. Financial instrument, we were at this classification. So these are the topics. Actually, we wanted to discuss on the financial instruments, key topics. I already discussed about this critical impairment, financial measurement basis, and types. Disclosure still not, but you may get that understanding, right? And today I'm going to discuss bit about derivatives and hedging. Derivatives and hedging. Right. So financial instrument types, if I'm going to recall our memory, financial instrument types, financial asset and financial liability. Financial asset and financial liability. Okay. Financial asset, we had three: debt instrument, equity instrument, derivatives. Right? For this, as we do, it is HDBA test, cash flow characteristic test. You know that debt instrument only getting pass mark for that. Other two getting paid. Why? We can't predetermine future cash flows of derivatives and equity. Right? Derivatives and equity. Because of that, for derivatives and equity, we are not doing that second test. What is that? What is that? The second test, stress model test. That is done for the aggregate level, the industry, the company perspective. Right? To the company we are doing. We are not doing that to the equity and derivatives. Then equity and derivatives straight away fair value. Fair value. ඒක fair value through P&L OCI දෙනවා decide කරගන්න. straight away P&L. Right? And debt instrument, you may calculate for the amortized cost. Amortized cost, right? Amortized cost. Once you are calculating amortized cost, you are having a word called impairment. Impairment. Yes. What the amortized cost එක හැදලා තියෙන්නේ? මේක කොහොමද ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ? Amortized cost. Purchase cost එක. Purchase cost. Purchase cost, let's say 1,000. Purchase cost 1,000, right? Purchase cost 1,000. The accrued interest based on EIR. So, let's say purchase cost 1,000, right? Purchase cost 1,000 and accrued interest by EIR. EIR 200. 1,200. Impairment 100. This is called amortized cost. Amortized cost. We have done some adjustment to the cost. That is called amortized cost. I hope this is clear. EIR we discuss effective interest rate. EIR, that's a real income rate, the earning. The making the provision for impairment. Impairment provision can be done based on complex method model or a simplified model. Always we focus about what? Expected credit loss model. Not incurred credit loss model. Expected credit loss model. Futuristic provision should be done. Right? Futuristic provision should be done. For that, if you are having complex portfolio, what we do, normally you are having credit risk, right? You are doing impairment for what? Impairment for the credit risk. What do you mean by credit risk? Credit risk is again. What do you mean by credit risk? What do you mean by risk? Deviation from the expectation. By expect කරන දේ හම්බ නොවෙන්න තියෙන probability එකට කියන මොකක් කියලාද? Risk කියලා. ඕනම subject එක. Exam එකකට කියොත් risk එක මොකක්ද? බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ මොකක්ද? What do you expect to happen in the exam? Get pass, right? What is the risk? Getting failed. Is that risk? Corporate reporting වගේ ලොකු risk එකක් තියෙනවා. Risk එක වැඩි නම් මොකක්ද කරන්නේ? You can mitigate current action. What's the credit risk? What's the credit risk? Credit risk means to you, what is that? Once you are doing investment, you are expecting something. What is that? Return. Yes, return and the security for the capital. What FDA එක දැම්මොත් what interest එකක් තෝරේ දාන සල්ලිත් තෝරේ. So that's your expectation. Deviate from that expectation we call as credit risk. Right? deviation from that expectation we call as credit risk. Then once you are having this financial instrument as asset, what are the financial instrument you may have a credit risk. That's the standard. We need to evaluate that credit risk. And if it is complex, use a complex model. And if it is not that much complex, use simplified model. And calculate it and do it based on futuristic aspect, not the historical pattern. Historical pattern will vary to the future. Because of that, we need to be expected. We need to use expected credit loss model. Once you are using it for impairment, right? Once you are having a complex portfolio, you need to categorize it. Categorize means you need to have proper classification of the maybe aging, right? Not due, performing, non-performing, right? Underperforming. Likewise, you may have different classification, different stage, different buckets. A portfolio මගේ receivable portfolio එකක් තියෙනවා. එක customer කෙනෙක් නෙවෙයි නේද? bank එකකට leasing portfolio එකක් තියෙනවා. Then once in the leasing portfolio you may have 5,000 customers. That 5,000 customers, what we need to do? We need to categorize that to the buckets. ඒ කාලේකද අර data aging එකක් අර 0 to 60, 60 to 80, 80 to 120. Likewise, we should have buckets. අඩුම bucket එකකට වැඩි provision එක දාන්න. To the lowest bucket, you are putting the highest provision. So, lowest bucket, lowest provision, right? That logic is there still, but you should have proper evaluation. For once you are doing that classification, you should understand who are the customers are. We can classify as not due, right? Not due, or there's performing customers, and underperforming customers, and non-performing customers. This is the classification we can do, right? What is that? Performing customers, underperforming customers, non-performing customers. Performing customers, you are evaluating 12-month credit loss, right? 12-month credit loss evaluation. For other customers, standard requirement is you need to evaluate for the lifetime credit loss evaluation. 12 months lifetime can. You need to make a provision for that risk. 12-month risk you can analyze if that customer is a performing customer, right? We predict that customer will remain next 5 years with us. Is having a loan for next 5 years, right? His performance is really good. We predict that only on next 12 months. He analyze the risk and make a provision because he is very good and he's paying well. Because of that, we don't need to predict the 5 years and do the provision today. It's waste of time. We have a risk for next 12 months. Evaluate that and make a provision. That's what we are telling. 12-month credit loss. Or we are impaired. We are having underperforming or non-performing. We have an indication. We have a doubt. Not only this 12 months, the remaining 4 years, we have a doubt for that lifetime of the lifetime can customer game lifetime එකනේ අවුරුදු 80ක් කියන එක නෙවෙයි. But lifetime credit loss කියන්නේ the instrument period. Full period we need to evaluate the credit loss and make the provision. That loss evaluation process, you can decide a model, right? That model, there may be big four firms, KPMG, EY, Deloitte, PwC, they may come up with different models. Whatever the model, same logic should be there. The number may be slightly different, right? That's the basic understanding you should have for impairment. But impairment model study කරන්න ඕන නම් එහෙම study කරන්න පුළුවන්. ලොකු topic එකක් impairment. So once you are having impairment or significant then yeah. credit loss impairment, right? Individual significant customers and collective impairment. Individual significant and collective. Individually significant customer we should identify as entities. And collectively, you need to make a provision. Individually and collectively should make a provision. Right? That's very important. Individual impairment and collective impairment. Okay. Once you are doing your impairment calculation, normally you should do the PD into LGD into economic factor. This is the loss rate. Loss rate. Probability of default, loss given default into economic factor. The loss rate. Logically, possible loss rate loss probability of default. The probability of default get not to pay that customer. That's called probability of default. And loss given default. Once that customer get in default, what is the loss actually you are having? It's 100% or less than that. Why are you giving a loan to your friend? The bad lost. Okay, loss එක කීයද? 100% loss given default. වා යාළුවා නැති වෙන්න probability එක බලන්න. 50% sure නැති වෙනවා යාළුවා. ඒක තමයි probability of default. යාළුවා නැති වුණොත් ඔයාට 100% නැති වෙනවද? නැත්නම් යාළුවගේ තියෙන බෑග් එක මං ගාව. බෑග් එක යාළුවගෙන් උස්සගත්ත කොහොමද? දැන් මොකද කියන්නේ? මං security එකක් දෙන්න. එයා loan එක දුන්න නැතුව මම බෑග් එක තියාගන්න. What is that? If you are losing that, යාළුවෝ නැති වුණොත් not the exact amount you are not losing, right? You have the bag. That bag value should be deducted. Then it is not 100%, right? Probability of default 50%. Loss given default not 100%. Maybe loan making 80%, sorry, 20% wage bag එක cover කරගන්න. But 10,000 bag 3,000. ළඟදී ගත්ත bag එක. Then you are deducting that bag from the 10,000. Your loss is 7,000. Maybe 70%, right? Then your final rate, what is that? 50% into 70%, the loss rate, right? That will happen another 3 years' time. The economic factor. That is the loss rate. Simple, right? Have that understand. Have that understand, right? And derivatives, hedging, and disclosures. Those are the things remaining. I think I discussed about derivative a little, right? Once we are discussing this financial instrument, I had a definition with you. That's it. Example we are got. Right? What the derivative is? It is the agreement. So contract will be performed, settle in future. So enter in a very small value or little cost, right? No value or little cost. Future settlement. The value will be decided based on underlying fact. Those are the three things. Yes, derivatives. Examples: option, futures, forward contracts, swaps, collars, maybe all these things you consider as derivatives, right? Derivatives. What we need to do is for derivatives, we need to calculate the possible liability. Possible liability or asset. Possible liability or asset. And that asset liability gain or loss should be transferred to P&L, not OCI. That's very important. Derivatives, take on the critical points. Derivatives, fair value through P&L, not OCA. They are not charging to OCA. They are through P&L. Right? Derivatives. Once you are discussing derivatives, you may have embedded derivatives as well as standalone normal derivatives. Embedded derivatives and normal standalone derivatives. Embedded derivatives. Embedded derivatives. What do you mean by embedded derivatives? Embedded derivatives? Any idea? Derivatives then that's all embedded derivatives. Embedded derivatives. Embedded computers are there. Embedded computers. Embedded maybe type of hybrid, not hybrid actually. Hybrid means using different techniques, right? Hybrid. In one target, we are using different techniques we call as hybrid version. Hybrid meetings, right? Different modes we are using. But here the contract will include. Embedded means include, right? Include derivative portion. Derivative portion is the main agreement. That is called embedded derivative. It's a separate agreement. Using for maybe transaction and all. In that agreement, we have a derivative portion. That nature is there. What's the nature? Is a future settlement agreement. Will settle future. The minimal or it will cost. That will price will be decided based on underlying factor. These three things will be there once we are analyzing the agreement. You can see, you can make a good cutting is there. People are counting the basic agreement terms and conditions, but they are not identifying the embedded derivative. Once you are going through the whole agreement, that nature is a derivative. If it is so, as accountant, what we need to do? We need to identify that embedded derivative part. Here we have the large agreement. We have a large agreement. We shoot Kerala, they don't talk to me. Make a derivative. One part, one portion is a derivative. What are the features? Is a little low or zero cost. Settled in future. Value will be decided based on underlying factor. The derivative, right? Once you are having the derivative, question is, as accountant, what we need to do? You need to decide whether you are going to whether you are going to split this derivative from the host main contract or not. The embedded part එක ගලවනවද නැද්ද? Are you going to remove that and separately accounting or not? Right? You should decide it as a count. As a accountant, you should decide whether you are going to remove, separate the embedded derivative part or not. Right? For that, we have three things to consider. If you have embedded derivative in a post contract, at what time you are supposed to remove that part and account separately. Okay. When you are going to separate it. We are derivative. It is separately identifiable. Third one, the main contract will be treated. Main contract will be treated from different measurement basis. The main contract will be reported by using different measurement basis. Again, in other words, what did it say? Within bracket लिया गया नोट मुकाम देगा. Fair value through P&L, naming. Yes. Derivatives को हम record कराने. Fair value through P&L. In other words, the host contract may not be accounted based on fair value through P&L. So then, host contract जो fair value through P&L करना बना, वो हम एक separate कर ला. आज fair value through P&L करना आवश्यक है. ये नहीं समझ गया. Are you getting me? That's the point, right? If you want to, the embedded derivative you want to remove, to do a separate treatment as a one contract, the main contract treating as a value through P&L. If it is so, keep that inside and do the treat. No need to separate it, right? These are the three things need to consider. Then over derivative account. That's it. Right? Then we are coming to hedging. Right? Hedging. Hedging is hedging. What's the meaning of that? Hedging means hedge करना क्या लगता है? एक instrument है क्या नहीं? Hedging is not an instrument. Right? Hedging, what it means to you? What it means? Hedging means mitigating the risk, right? Mitigating the risk. So hedging actually hedge management, hedging, designing hedge instrument, item, all these things. That's under different subject. What are the subject? Finance management, risk management, right? Hedging is a deeply study කරන්න ඕන hedge කරන්නේ කොහොමද? හැමදේම ඉගෙන ගන්න finance management. But here as accountant, what we need to do? Hedge accounting. At which time we need to do hedge accounting? How we are going to do hedge accounting? That's the understanding we should have. Not the understanding you should have for deciding hedge items, deciding hedge instrument, at what time you enter into the hedging contract. All this will be decided by the finance management, right? It's risk management department. Hedging is a counting method, right? Hedging. Hedge accounting. Sorry, hedging is a risk management method. Hedge accounting is a counting method. Keep remember that. Once you are having hedging, and once you are having basically the transaction or asset or liability. If you are having a risk, but the transaction is a risk case. Asset is a risk case. Liability is a risk case. But asset is a risk case. Value will decrease. Liability is decrease. Value will increase. Then once you are having this type of liability is a risk. To mitigate this risk, we are getting some other asset. Then we are having an asset which is having a risk, and we are getting some other asset to mitigate it. That is called hedging, right? That is called hedging. Once you are purchasing asset, it should be related. Okay. Corporate report is sure එකටම පේන්නේ. ඒක risk එකක් කියලා දැනගත්තොත්. risk එකක් කියලා දැනගත්තොත්. මම hedge කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක. hedge කරන්න මොකද කරන්න ඕන? hedge කරන්න නම් මොකක්ද කරන්න ඕන? ඔයත් CA හරි ACCA හරි corporate reporting කරන්න. CA හරි මේ parallel එක කරන්න. hedge කරන්න. කරලා exam එකට pass වෙන්න. loss එක අඩුයි. mitigate කරන්න. failure තියෙන probability එක වැඩි. ඔයාලා exchange rate එක tensors වල console සම්පූර්ණ miss කරගෙන ඉන්නේ. ඔයා hedge කරනවා. ඔයා gym එකකට යනවා. hedge කරනවා කියලා ඉතින් gym එකකට යනවා. Are you doing correct thing? Can you pass? Can you address the risk? Hedge item and hedge instrument not relate. Not address the risk. That's called what? Hedge item and hedge instrument. Hedge item එක මොකක්ද? Corporate reporting example. Hedge instrument එක gym එකට යන්නේ. මේ දෙක මොකක්ද? Hedge effectiveness එක fail. Relationship එකක් නැහැ. Hedge effectiveness fail now. If you are not satisfied with the hedge effectiveness, you can't do hedge account. Before hedge accounting, you need to satisfy hedge effectiveness. Right? You need to identify what is the identification? Hedge item and the hedge instrument. Hedge item and the hedge instrument. Hedge item means the asset or liability we are having the risk. Hedge item. That's the one you want to hedge. Then you are getting another asset and liability or some other contract. That's called hedge instrument. Right? Once you are having hedging, you are having hedge item and the hedge instrument. ඒක දන්නේ නැහැ කියලා කියන්නේ මම example. Hedge item and the hedge instrument. If I am asking in a hedging arrangement, what are the key components? Hedge item and the hedge instrument. Right? Hedge item and the hedge instrument. Once you are doing hedge accounting, you need to satisfy the hedge effectiveness. If you as accountant, එක ලියා ගන්න අත පෑනේ මම දාලා ලියා ගන්න. දෙපාරක් highlight කරලා අවශ්‍යයි. ඒ පෑනේ highlight කරන දෙපාරක් pay කරගන්න. As accountant, before you are doing hedge accounting, you are supposed to satisfy the hedge effectiveness criteria. Hedge effectiveness criteria, right? Hedge item and the hedge instrument. Hedge item and the hedge instrument should have an economic relationship. Should have an economic relationship. Hedge item and the hedge instrument should have economic relationship. In other words, the risk bracket gain or loss. Gain or loss arising from the hedge item should be set off with the gain or loss can be taken from the hedge instrument. In other words, the risk කියලා කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? Gain or loss එක bracket ඇතුලේ. Arising from hedge item should be set off with the gain or loss can be taken from hedge instrument. Gain or loss can be taken from hedge instrument. Right? Hedge item and hedge instrument. The second one, hedge ratio should be equal. Hedge ratio should be adequate. 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 And third one, the credit risk should not be considered. The credit risk should not be considered. These are the three criteria we need to focus about hedge effectiveness. If you are satisfying hedge effectiveness, you can start hedge accounting. If you satisfy about three, tunama satisfy about three, you can do hedge accounting. You can do hedge accounting. Do hedge accounting. Once you are doing hedge accounting, you may have fair value hedge or cash flow hedge. Fair value hedge or cash flow hedge. Fair value hedge or cash flow hedge. Once you're accounting fair value hedge, the gain or loss should be recorded to the P&L. The gain or loss should be recorded to the P&L. Recorded to the P&L. If you are dealing with cash flow hedge, the gain or loss should transfer to OCI. OCI till the transaction. Until the transaction. Right, that's it. So, political දැනගත්ත නම් adequate, right? So, but happy hedging, whether it's account ගණන් හැදුවේ නෑ. Right. If you want to do something, I will share some hedge account related account. Hedge accounting related questions. That's right. But financial instrument may be tested. Right? I will share that questions and answers with you. Pretty straightforward. Calculate this fair valuation and fair value standard are separate. How to do fair valuation for financial instrument. Gain or loss transfer to P&L or OCI. Right? Advertisement. So we covered all the things, I guess. Right? The allocated tasks done. That's it for the corporate reporting subject from me. I think Sukun sir completed all of it. So overall, it's a good exercise. I hope you had a good time and you learned a lot. Maybe what you are doing. If you want to convert this to maybe CA or SCCA, you should work hard, right? Maybe consolidation. If you turn to CA, you should consider tax and deferred tax and tax. That's only advanced. If you remember that, we didn't touch upon taxes. Once you are having deferred tax feedback, you need to consider that. That's the only change. Otherwise, pretty straightforward. You can use this knowledge for that. And you have a good foundation now about accounting, financial reporting, and corporate reporting. Right? Then and there. Now it's your hand to improve that to a next level. If you remember, that should be done. That's your core competence. That's your focus. And stay focused and do it. You can do it, right? So that's the expectation. With that positive note, that's it. Thank you. Done. Then. All done. Any doubts, any questions you can ask? අදාවේ නැති කටියෙන් නේද? බයි කියන්නේ. එයාලා එන්න ඕන කියලා හිතනවා මොකක්ද? ඉන්න පුළුවන් නේද? If I'm telling this the last day, people are coming, not for attendance, but at least just to see the sir. එහෙමත් වෙනවා. සර් බලලා යන්න ආස නිසා අන්තිම දවසේ ආව කියලා කියනවා. කොන්සෝල් නම් තේරුනේ නැහැ සර් අන්තිම දවසේ කොහොමද තේරෙන්නේ? සර් බලලා යන්න ආවා කියලා කිව්වා. එහෙම හරියටෝ ඉගෙන ගන්න මොනේ attendance මොනේ live එකනේ. So we have a good relationship, right? වාව මට සමහර වෙලාවට මූණ නම් මතකයි. ඕන ෆෝරම් එකක දැක්කොත් he or she is a student, I can remember, but I may not be comfortable with the name. Don't worry about that. You can talk to me, whatever the forum, right? Maybe a summit, maybe a conference, maybe interview, maybe a CA conference, right? You can talk to me. Don't worry, come and talk to me. That's really good. So do that, then we'll have a good, network. Then and there, if you have a good network with good people, you can enjoy your life. And then you can respect your life. And you can love whatever you do. It should be real, right? The degree should be done really, right? But they can කරන්න එපා. Gathering කිව්වට relations ල කරනවට what I want to decide. It is done for you. You should enjoy. Degree එක ගන්න කලින් මම මොකද කිව්වේ? පක්ෂාල ගියොත් නේද එකපාරට. degree එක ගන්න දවසේම ගියොත් what ඒ කාලේ enjoy කරලා නැහැ ඊට පස්සේ enjoy කරලා. ඒක කරන්න එපා. හැමදාම backlog එකක් තියෙනවා. So you are learning. You should learn till the death. Right? And in between, you need to enjoy. You should enjoy the degree. Right? Enjoy the degree. What is පස්තම දෙන්නේ degree ගත්තට කාලේට වඩා campus කාලේ enjoy කරන්න හොඳයි කියලා පස්ස තමයි තියෙන්නේ. ඊට වඩා complication, challenges ඒරම then enjoy this period, please. And then rest of the periods become positively. You need to learn it. Right? So as I said previously, present tense is a gifted one. That's why we are telling present, right? Present is a gift. Other two tense about future, we have a risk and doubt. We don't know what happened, right? About the history, past, if you are you are losing your time. Don't waste your time about your past, right? Work hard and enjoy present, right? Don't too much stress about the future, right? Have a target, have a plan. To have a target, you can reach to some extent. Look at the thing. That try Pali Maharatari Madrid. Again, Aram Kilagan Nepa, Palio Hunter Garagan or any. A mathematical reach Kiran. So you can try stand. Right? You can, if you want to catch stand moon, try it. Then at least you can see the most at least. Right? That's it. Or try to run. But it try and see. Enjoy the real outcome. Reality is more important. Fake pain never fake the ගෙදරට fake වෙන්න එපා. යාළුවන්ට fake වෙන්න එපා. real විදියට ඉන්න. ඒකට ඔයාලට මානසික stress නැහැ. ඔයාලට සතුටෙන් ඉන්න. ගොඩාක් වැඩ කරන්න. හොඳට නිින්ද යනවා. So you can enjoy your life. That's it. Yeah. If you are having any doubts, questions, you can reach out to me. So I expect good outcome, good response in the exam, final exam, right? Thank you.
Yes.